Hi, my name is Renee Peckinpah, and I did my presentation on Saul Axelrod. Before going through with the presentation, I just wanted to say a little background information. We were given a list of different behaviorists to choose from, and before deciding on one, I briefly Google searched just because I wanted to pick someone who seemed relevant to my line of work, or at least published work within an area that I'm interested in. Saul Axelrod had published many articles regarding autism spectrum disorder, educational settings, as well as self-interest behaviors, each of those being in the realm of my line of work, or at least something that I've worked with in the past. And I found it to be more enjoyable and interesting to research on someone and something that felt more relevant. There we go. For my introduction, Saul Axelrod was a special education professor at Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and taught there from 1972 to 2011, which was when he retired. Initially when I was researching about his work and his retirement, I did not find anything right off the bat. I Google searched him just to see what I could come up with, and I actually came across his Facebook page. So I looked further into it, and I was able to identify that he is still living, and this was also where I was able to locate his year of retirement. He had a very successful career and contributed to 10 books, 63 scholarly articles, a few of which I will discuss later on in the presentation. His primary focus within his career and within his contributions was on ABA within the educational setting. So alongside his successful career of research and teaching, he's also very well known for breaking down and simplifying ABA techniques and terms in order to provide a better understanding for educators. To the average person, ABA can be a very complex concept. So in the school system, educators have certain criteria and requirements that they must meet when providing an education to their students. So not only meeting these requirements, but additionally providing an education to students with developmental disabilities can be extremely challenging. Axelrod's simplification of ABA language and how the techniques can be used within the classroom was not to assume that educators aren't capable of working with students with special needs. It's simply to assist educators to better implement the strategies and techniques without requiring any extensive training or further education for them to learn the principles. When educators have a better understanding of implementing such practices, becoming second nature ultimately will provide the best educational experience for them as well as their students. Looking at his publications, the first article I reviewed of his was called Applied Behavior Analysis, Autism and Beyond. Within the article, it's discussed that the identification of applied behavior analysis as the treatment choice for problematic behaviors. It's also included that the importance of early intensive behavioral intervention as well as positive effects that it had on individuals with autism. In addition, the article also includes information from our class book about behaviorism by B.F. Skinner. It discusses his identifications of misrepresentations about behaviorism. All in all, the article really just explains the importance of implementing ABA procedures as well as its effectiveness. The next article I reviewed was titled Evaluating Open-Ended Parent Reports and Direct Preference Assessments to Identify Reinforcers for Young Children with Autism. This article I found very relevant to my experiences in my line of work, so I really enjoyed this one. It discusses the importance of conducting preference assessments with children with autism. As we know, often children have a difficult time expressing what they want, and we know this to be exceptionally difficult when working with children with autism. So this is of high importance because this is what will help the child work towards target behavior's individual goals. The third article I reviewed was called Functional Instructional Analyses of Behavior, Approaches Leading to Reduced Use of Punishment Procedures. Within this article, it explains the different approaches that can be used when working to reduce problem behaviors. Initially, a structural analysis of behavior was completed, identifying variables such as the physical environment. Another approach was explained within the article, conducting a functional analysis of behavior, which would help in identifying whether behaviors are reinforcing something such as adult attention or simply utilizing it as an escape. The article further explains the steps to take when working to identify the problem behavior, such as when it occurs, who the individual is around, are there certain situations that the behavior does or does not occur, along with many other questions. Ultimately, with collecting this information, it can better help predict as well as reduce problem behaviors. The next article was the impact of functional analysis methodology on treatment choice for self-injurious and aggressive behavior. In this article, it kind of broke down the options for treating self-injurious behaviors and aggressive behaviors. Based off of research within the article, it was identified that reinforcement procedures such as differential reinforcement of other behavior or differential reinforcement of alternative behavior are not as successful in eliminating the unwanted problem behaviors. A punishment-based procedure was seen as more effective when using timeouts or overcorrection. Reinforcement-based procedures were not maintained by providing social reinforcement. It was found to be more challenging to treat or eliminate the problem behaviors when using this procedure. The last article I reviewed was titled Behavioral Intervention for Autism, a distinction between two behavior analytic approaches. This article identifies the distinction between two behavior analytic approaches, discrete trial teaching or discrete trial instruction, versus Skinner's applied verbal behavior, also known as AVB. It also includes that educators still find the distinction between ABA programs continues to be unclear. It's broken down amongst various components, which include the curriculum, reinforcement, motivation, delivery of instruction, prompting and error correction, language acquisition, augmentative communication, along with data collection. While there were some similarities among both of these approaches, there were also differences between them. Implications of his work. Saul Axelrod was very consistent with his research, focusing on ABA within the classroom setting, the population being those with developmental disabilities. He brought about the effectiveness of implementing ABA within classroom settings. In addition, he was also an advocate for students to have the highest quality of education. As I previously stated, he also broke down and simplified ABA techniques and terms in order to provide a better understanding for educators. Having a better understanding of the practices ultimately make it a better experience for educators and the students. If I had the opportunity to interview him, these are some of the questions that I would like to ask him. First, throughout your career, what were some of the obstacles that you experienced, not limited to educators, but family members as well? Question 2, along with question 1, due to any challenges or obstacles that you did encounter throughout your career, did you ever question whether ABA was the most effective or efficient practice when working with children with special needs? Question 3, in your opinion, do you believe that the use of the terms and language used within ABA are as eminent as we're instructed them to be? Question 4, what would you tell someone who's currently pursuing their education studying ABA? Any advice or recommendations while pursuing this field? And the last question, looking back from where you started in your career and where the principles of ABA were at that time, what do you hope or what do you anticipate for the upcoming years within this field? His importance to the ABA field, he was successful in making the connections between ABA and the educational settings. Like I said, he worked to create a better explanation of ABA practices as well as the techniques, not only for educators, but for families as well. He promoted the success of different ABA approaches, and again, he was an advocate for students to have access to a high quality of education, as well as promoted individual success for students with autism and students with other intellectual disabilities. And this is my bibliography. And that's all. So thank you for watching.